Hey guys, subscribe for daily content. And if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks!
What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got another interesting knife review slash knife battle to share with you guys. This is the new Spyderco Bodacious. I've been EDCing this for a bit, and a lot of you guys know that one of my favorite knives of all time is the Spyderco Shaman. It is no secret that this knife was modeled after the Shaman. In fact, they were both designed by Sal Glesser. I found it funny that a lot of people were calling this a knockoff of the Shaman. It was designed by the same person. So if you're wondering that, there you go. These knives are horrifically expensive. On the flip side, these knives are both very, very good. So I paid for both of these knives. This is my Shaman. I've had it for years. I also paid full price for the Bodacious. I'm going to compare both of these knives in the review, and I'm also going to do a full review on the Bodacious and tell you my honest thoughts. Thanks so much to my patrons for supporting me. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex and on TikTok at the_metal_complex. I will link both of these knives down in the description. It does help my channel when you use those links, but that's entirely up to you. Let's go ahead and measure this knife. So the overall length of the Bodacious is, believe it or not, the same as the Shaman. It's about 8¼ inches. The blade length here is 3.65 inches, and the cutting edge is 3.5 inches. Now we're going to compare up against the Shaman with everything that's the same, everything that's different here in a second. But before we do that, let's go ahead and get through what we normally do here, which is general size comparison. So up against the 8010 and the 80-20.5. Any custom scales you find in this section can be found down in the description under Original Goat and others. So this is definitely what I'd call a full-size knife. It's not quite as big or robust as the 8010, but it's definitely getting there. How about up against the Spyderco PM2 and the Spyderco Para 3? This is great for Spyderco specific fans who want to get a good idea of exactly how this thing stacks up against arguably their two most flagship models. I mean, that's not even arguable. Yeah, this PM2 and the Para 3 are the most flagship models that Spyderco's ever made. And then finally, let's go ahead and put it up against the Benchmade Griptilian. I can already like hear the typing on the keyboards of people arguing with me about flagship models from Spyderco. You go right ahead. You go right ahead and do that. Let's put it up against the Hogue Deca. So there you go. All right, so how's the action on this knife? I'll tell you what, the action is freaking great. I've got a little bit of stick on that compression lock. My experience with every Spyderco knife I've ever carried and used, and there have been a lot of them, is that the lock stick does go away. It also comes back sometimes. I think my Para 3, I mean, admittedly, it's got aftermarket scales, but this went away for a while and then came back. The PM2, this thing had a horrible lock stick when I got it, and it actually does have a little bit still. This is the one that I felt like had worked itself completely out. It's, like that time it didn't do it. So they go back and forth. Maybe that's just the nature of the beast with the compression lock, but so like that time there was no lock stick. Thumb flicking it out, fairly easy, and reverse. In fact, who am I kidding? It's extremely easy. I don't like that part of the hole is hidden under the scales. You know, that's the same way it was with the Shaman. It's a little bit annoying, but all right, what are you going to do, right? Deploying it is super duper easy, but this one out of the box had superior action. This had the action that I wanted my Shaman to have out of the box, and it took a little bit to break in. And even after all these years, this thing is from 2018. This has been oiled and tuned to perfection. By the way, if you're wondering, why does yours have green scales? It's because I customized my old Shaman. I customized a few Shamans. This is actually, I've got 5 of them because I love this knife. I took the River's Edge Cutlery exclusive scales off of a River's Edge Cutlery exclusive Shaman and changed it to something else and then used the scales from my basic one. So that's why. But yeah, this thing came with superior action right out of the box. And the D10, if I'm being honest, is a little bit heavier. It's really nice considering it is drop shut on phosphor bronze washers. If you are new, getting that type of action on phosphor bronze washers makes it a superior setup to bearings because you're essentially getting the same type of action with a much more durable internal pivot setup. These washers will keep debris out of the pivot way better than bearings. However, if you're like me and you use your knife in an environment where they don't get gunked up, then it doesn't really matter, right? I've never actually had bearings get gunked up, but I know that that does happen with people. So for some people, that's going to be really important. But truthfully, the action on this is very good. I was very happy with it, and it came with no blade play whatsoever. So that's very cool. Let's go ahead and do carry profile. Thickness up against the Spyderco Para 3. We will compare with the Shaman here in just a second. It's actually not thick. It's actually on the thinner side, which is pretty cool. Length and height up against the PM2 and Para 3. I love how the Shaman carries. That is a lot of my preferences for carry come from the Shaman. In fact, a lot of my the general things that I look for in a good pocket knife, I reference the Shaman, right? So this carries similarly. It is noticeably thinner, but it's also noticeably more blocky, which again we'll talk about. But not a bad carry. It will be too big for some people, but it's not huge. It's about the same, maybe a little shorter, closed up versus the PM2, and almost as tall. Yeah, just about, not quite, almost. It's definitely bigger than the Para 3. All right. So what are we looking at for materials before we wait? We're looking at S30V, and we're looking at smooth G10 and a recessed steel liner. Obviously, underwhelming for the money. However, I need to say this really quick. If you are one of those people who is screaming that much money for S30V, as if S30V is somehow magically not an expensive steel because it is an older steel, stop doing that. It is so incorrect. Why not S45VN? Why not S35VN? S30V, if you didn't know, actually has superior edge retention to both. It's only mildly better or marginally better than S45VN. The benefit that S45VN brings to the table is a massive increase in corrosion resistance, which not everybody needs or cares about. CBM S30V is not a cheap steel. Let me throw this out there real quick. Periodically, we see knives made by companies who are here in the USA, Kershaw, for example, and they use CPM 20 CV, which people will blindly accept at hundreds of dollars more than this. And those knives made by Kershaw periodically drop down close to or even under $100. Furthermore, CPM 20 CV, originally Duratec 20 CV, I believe the patent was from 1999. Where are all the complaints about 20 CV? I mean, I know some people do, right? But there's a weird thing when it comes to S30. People are, oh, S30V, that's old news. And of course, old news means bad or low quality. No, I don't think people understand exactly how high quality of a steel S30V is. It's one of few compositions that were actually originally designed for pocket knives, alongside S35EN, S45EN, CBM Spy 27, right? So if you are looking at the price and you're thinking it should be a lot less for S30V, and that's the entirety of your argument, that's incorrect. The price is not a good price, but that's not why. It's the total combination of elements here. It is much more layered than that. So before a huge chunk of the community writes off S30V as some sort of inferior, outdated steel, stop it. S30V is a very, very good composition, and I don't think people really understand, or not every, I think some people really don't understand that. So anyways, we have S30V, which I think is actually phenomenal at this geometry. And then we have super duper underwhelming, blocky, smooth G10 scales, which I just really don't like. And then we have a little steel backspacer back here. We have Spyderco's ho-hum kind of annoying pocket clip, right? And then some nested steel liners. That's what we have for materials. So let's weigh it real quick, and I will weigh it against the Spyderco Shaman. The weight on this guy is 4.4 ounces, and the Spyderco Shaman, these are like legitimate from the factory Spyderco scales. They were just done exclusively for River's Edge cutlery, so shouldn't be any different than the original weight. This is heavier at 5.2 ounces, and that's enough heavier. A lot of people say, oh, 0.7 ounces, like how big, or 0.8 ounces, how big of a deal could that be? It's a pretty substantial, I mean, it's a noticeable difference. I'm not going to lie to you, I do notice the difference in the weight. So there you go. Let's check the blade stock thickness, which I will also do up against the Spyderco Shaman. So the Bodacious here is coming in at 123 thousandths, which is definitely thinner than the Shaman, which comes in, what is this, 145? Yeah, almost 145 thousandths. I remember when the Shaman came out and people were like, why is it so thick? You know, this creates a huge difference in terms of like ease of cutting. Right now, I've only carried this for a little bit, and I just do regular stuff with my knives. If you don't know, like I don't claim to be like a bush lord, or I don't claim to like take the knives out for a month and use them in every conceivable circumstance. Right? I'm not like, oh, I need like blizzard conditions, right? And I need like volcano conditions. No, I'm literally just walking around using it like a regular pocket knife. But as long as I've been a knife enthusiast, collector, user, right, got a general feel for things, a general, you know, basically parameters of qualities or whatever that I look for. And it doesn't necessarily take me too long to kind of get my thoughts in a regular Joe usage environment. So cutting things like cardboard, light plastic packaging, some styrofoam, right, cutting open some Amazon packages here and there. It actually got a decent workout for the short time that I carried it. This is noticeably better. It also doesn't have the forward choil there, which we'll talk about more, but it's clear as day. Like I've never had a problem with the Shaman. I always enjoyed this. I mean, I've carried the crap out of this knife, but this does cut better. I mean, it's just, and that makes sense considering it's essentially the same profile minus the forward choil, and it's definitely thinner behind the edge. So that does make a difference there. Let's see here. We've done the weight. We've done blade stock thickness. We need to do a hardware check. Let me get out my tools as per usual. My tools are very inexpensive and very recommendable. You can find them right down in the section of my description that talks about the tools I use on this channel. So I believe the body screws are still going to be a T8, and that is definitely the case. The pocket clip screws will be a T6, and I think the pivot, did they change the pivot? It's probably a T10, yeah. So the pivot is going to be just like the Shaman. It's going to be a T10. I don't believe that there's any difference whatsoever. In fact, God, it's almost like it has the exact same internal liner setup. It definitely has almost exactly the same backspacer. So it's going to be very easy. If you've ever taken apart the Shaman, then you know. Like the Shaman is stupidly friendly to take apart. It is not difficult. As long as you have the right tools for the job, you're going to be good to go. So just a quick note, after I was done with the video, I realized I wanted to check to see if it still had the bushing and if it was really the exact same setup, and it is essentially the same. This little pin here did not want to let go. It will come out. There's no reason to pull these apart. It will come out, but that was the only slight frustration I had removing everything. Otherwise, the process was unbelievably simple and friendly. Expect to have to overcome a little bit of Loctite, but nothing crazy. That's why I use these fatty drivers, definitely, or stubby drivers, whatever you call that. Definitely worth picking up. But yeah, the inside of it is exactly what you'd expect. Okay, back to the review. All right, so let's talk about these two different knives. And I got to be clear. I actually really like them both. I think a perfect version it's what everybody is thinking, right? It's obvious. This knife, the Bodacious, it has a superior blade. It's also, the transition from the handle to the blade is awesome because it totally alleviates the need for this area. I'm a big fan of forward choils because it allows you to kind of get up behind the blade comfortably, right? Now this one has a little bit of a better lock-in on the choke up, but this one is very, very close, and it's got that little guard right there that kind of lets you be right behind the edge when you're really pushing this. I've always loved the Shaman because I can get up right behind the edge and push down into, thick cardboard or something like that. You can do the same thing here, but you just have more cutting edge, right? It doesn't have a sharpening choil, which, is not always the best. It creates for a situation where as you're sharpening it over time, that area starts to get uglier and uglier. It's also not the easiest thing to get done correctly from the factory. Like on this side, it looks good, but on this side, like they gave it a little bit of a whoopsie doodle. Yeah, it's just nature of the beast. That's what's going to happen. But man, getting up behind that edge and just absolutely lasering through material, this does it, man. What I don't like about this one is that the blocky, hard 90-degree drop-off. Why? Spyderco, why would you do that? This is so dumb. Like, the thing has really good ergonomics. Honestly, the pocket clip has got to go. You got to get one of these. This is an MXG deep carry clip, and it is superior in every way. They're like $22, right? Which sucks because the base price of these is absolutely atrocious. It is atrocious what these cost. I haven't even opened that can of worms yet, but I will, right? Well, let's do the basics first. Ergonomically, this is okay, but oh my God, this is superior. Superior blade, superior handle. Why didn't you just put this handle on this and keep this, like, just do this exact profile, but with the heavy chamfering, it's almost radiused, right? I don't get it. I don't understand. Just make it that way. I mean, are they trying to like keep this one on the market, like giving it its own? In my mind, there's a bit of a conspiracy, and it's not even like it doesn't take more than like a 6th grade detective to put this together. This just magically became $270. I feel like I blinked, and this went from $232 to $270. Now, I bought this knife in 2018 for $165. I'm not going to be one of those goofballs who says that the price should just stay the same from the moment that you realize it exists, right? There's a bunch of people who are just like, all of a sudden start paying attention to the knife world, and then any price increase from where they start at, any price increase from there forward is unfair, and the original price that they saw is the only right price. Prices are going to go up. I understand that, right? But whoa, if we look at across the board for the knife world, right? I mean, even Benchmade would have like flinched at that price increase. They would have been like, "What? Are you guys sure about that?" That's crazy. This knife started out released in 2018 or maybe late 2017. $155 for that Shaman. Then we saw $165, then $185, which I remember thinking, I'm part of the Almost Cool Club. I got it for $165 before the big price increase. We had no idea. They weren't done yet. They bumped it up to $202 from what I remember. It's almost like wrestling weight classes, right? Then it was, I think, $224, then $232. And then I swear I blinked and it was $270 right at the time that the Bodacious released. $270 for the Shaman. That's crazy. Oh, but only $262 for the Bodacious. Well, the Bodacious is newer, and I hear these reviewers saying that the Bodacious has a better cutting blade. Oh, but those Shaman ergonomics. Metal Complex always rants and raves about the Shaman ergonomics. I'll just buy both. Is that the plan? Spyderco, is that the plan? To just keep people to buy both? Why? There's some, like, the perfect version of this is obvious. This blade is good, right? It's overpriced, but that doesn't make the blade not good or the material for the blade not good. No, Spyderco does an excellent job with the S30V. The blade is wonderful. This is a God mode blade for sure, right? These are God mode ergonomics. Nothing special for the material, but it is lightweight and strong and reinforced with a steel liner, right? So, if we pull ourselves out of the enthusiast knife world, we put ourselves back in the user knife world, this is excellent. Combining these two elements creates an ideal setup in my book, right? But these lines, I think this profile is superior. It just needs this contouring, right? Or this chamfering that's on the Shaman. Sure. And then it needs to be about $100 less. And I'm not joking. Usually, you guys know I'm a little bit of a knife snob, and sometimes I pay thousands of dollars for a pocket knife. That doesn't mean that I've lost touch with, what pricing should be on a knife. This is not a $262 knife. It's not a $250 knife. It's not a $220 knife. It's not a $200 knife. It's not a $180 knife. This is a $165 knife. I look at the Spyderco Manix 2, which has come up massively. Same with the PM2 and Para 3. They're all a bit high. What on earth makes this cost nearly $100 more than the Spyderco Manix 2? A lot of people look at these knives and think that they should cost about 40 or 50 bucks. And those people are silly town nonsense stupid potion drinkers, to quote Charlie. No, that's wrong. That's silly. I won't entertain that. But they are made in the United States, and they definitely are using premium blade materials, and they obviously have excellent fit and finish for the most part, right? Now, that's expensive to do. It is, factually. But I don't believe that it results in the price being justified at $262, let alone $270, right? But man, to get back to what I was saying, the Spyderco Shaman is just all of a sudden $270. Has to be to make this look good. Can't be a coincidence, right? That's nuts. Absolutely nuts. Getting back to it though, manipulation between these two things, the only real thing that you're going to notice the difference is just that the fact that this one's thinner and lighter, but like actually deploying them, manipulating them, I mean, I don't know. I can't say that I prefer one over the other in terms of just manipulating it. Maybe the fact that there isn't a sharp drop off for the Shaman, so accessing that hole and doing the thumb flick, I would say is definitely a little bit more comfortable, but this isn't bad at all. It's like grading two papers and giving one a 99 and one a 95. Like it's really, really good, right? The compression lock feels like identical tension between the two. I mean, maybe there's slightly more tension on this guy. Maybe that's why the detent feels slightly heavier. I don't know. I hate the pocket. Well, I don't hate the pocket clip position is kind of dumb, and the pocket clip itself I don't really like. It definitely needs the upgrade there. I think what I'm taking from this is if you are an aftermarket scale maker, original go, sorry, you need to get on some contoured scales for this bad boy because it needs it. I'm wondering if Spyderco looked at like the cost of, making these superior Shaman scales and they're like, we could shave $8 per knife off of our manufacturing costs if we just make them flat. I'm honestly wondering that, right? And then they probably went, we'll charge more for it anyway, and then the aftermarket scale guys will go nuts and we'll make a killing and they'll make a killing. I have no idea. This is just my thoughts, my guesses, right? I'm not actually sure. I'm just guessing. I really, I don't want anybody to think that I know that, but it's just like watching this happen, just sitting here while this happens to us. I've left but nothing else but to guess. Like, what were they thinking? I don't know. But, yeah, that's correct. Aftermarket scale makers, there are going to be people wanting that. It's just the problem is that creating that, putting that together, right? Buying the clip for $22, buying some contoured. Well, the G10 ones won't be that bad. Maybe some companies can make them for about $60, $70 or something. Aluminum would probably be more like $100, and you're probably looking at $200 for a set of contoured titanium scales if they're from the United States. Companies like Flytanium might make them for a little bit less, but you're still looking at an absolutely ridiculous total cost to get it the way that it should be. I don't believe for a second that Spyderco believes that the non-chamfered scales are superior in some way. I'm sure we'll get the occasional person who will say I prefer the 90-degree drop-off, but I don't know why. Maybe I honestly don't know why anyone would prefer that, right? Again, I'm not saying do the forward choil. I'm saying these chamfered edges, right? Keep these lines exactly the same, but do the chamfered edges. That would have been great. And then, shave $100 off of the price, which, by the way, will never happen. Those of you who have been around for a long time, you know that no matter how much kicking, screaming, crying we do, these companies will never lower their prices. Occasionally, you'll find an unpopular model on a retailer that will go on sale. But you're not going to see Spyderco go, okay, you got us. We're gonna lower the price by $100. It's not going to happen. The best thing we can hope for is a step up in overall quality and materials while maintaining relatively the same price. It's something that We Knives did a good job of over the last year and a half or so, right? This is an American company. That's a little bit harder to implement when your manufacturing costs are a lot higher and you are very stubborn. It's what I'm assuming. The price aside, because you guys get it. I hate the price. The price is just mind-blowing, like incomprehensible. The truth is, though, this is a very, very good tool. Overall, this is an easy A in terms of a tool that, folds up and becomes compact, has a very reliable means of manipulation, right? Very reliable and strong locking system, very good ergonomics, and wonderful cutting geometry. I mean, wow, this is really, really great. Don't love the finish. Would have loved to see the, in my opinion, superior tumbled finish that they do on the standard Spyderco Shaman, but that's more of a preference. The jimping on the back here is about the same as it is on the standard Shaman. In fact, I think it's actually identical. You're going to get stuff trapped in there. It's just nature of the beast, right? But okay, this knife was not made to look at. It was made to be used. Yes, it's expensive, right? But it's extremely common for people to pay $200, $300, $400 for a pocket knife and actually use it. I know that comes as a surprise for a lot of people, but welcome to the community. You'll find out that's true very, very quickly. That doesn't mean that this is appropriately priced. I'm just saying, like, this is not the tier of knife that's like, oh, you cannot use me, for I am too delicate. And that's not what we're looking at here. We're looking at a tool. It's just a tool that costs too much money. Backspacer, it's still, for whatever reason, lipped slightly under the scales. It's not a fit and finish issue. That's literally just how they do it. I don't know why. The pocket clip can be mounted for right or left-handed carry, which is great. Left-handed people, you can overpay for this too, if you so choose. It's still got the little pins in here, the floating pins, which is fine. The scales just come up and over the pins, which is honestly a pretty cool design feature of these. So I appreciate that. There's a huge, in true Shaman fashion, there's a huge stop pin back here. So that's great. There is no blade play up, down, left, or right. Like I said, a little tiny bit of stick, not bad. There is no... Ooh. Oh, am I touching the... Okay, let me do it without pushing on the lock. There's no pivot lash whatsoever. That's just up and down movement here. If you have the compression lock pushed against the blade, well, then obviously the action will be a little bit tight. But you don't do that when you're disengaging it. You just pull. And as you can see, it's actually really smooth. So that's great. Detent, definitely on the stronger side, but fortunately you have that large opening hole, making it very easy to manipulate. This is a great knife. It's just wildly overpriced, and they made the weird decision of not chamfering the scales. So, is it recommendable? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Save your money. In fact, go buy something else from if you're dead set on a Spyderco, go buy a Manix 2, right? I mean, there's a bunch of other knives in Spyderco's line that'll be just fine. But $275, or I'm sorry, $262. I keep mixing up with the price of the Shaman, which is just as confusing nowadays. $262 will buy you a really nice knife nowadays. We still have Kershaw and Hogue doing, honestly, the best job, giving you the overall quality and performance for your dollar, in my opinion. ProTech is also doing a pretty decent job. Their prices are getting up there, but they still offer some pretty excellent value, right? And then if you don't care about U.S. manufacturing, well, you can get there's tons of knives from all over the place that cost substantially less and will perform very, very well. You have a lot of options, but specifically for die-hard Spyderco fans who are just looking for the tiniest upgrade over their Spyderco Shaman, and they've got $262 burning a hole in their pocket, I guess this is for you. It's like, if you had like a character in the Elden Ring, it would be like increasing your attack power and trading off stamina, I guess. I don't, or maybe fat rolling. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of like an upgrade and a downgrade for slightly less money. But I guess that's who this is for. I don't know. I bought it, so I'm going to use it, and I do enjoy using it. It's just the sting of that money I spent on it has not worn off yet. So, don't waste your money. I wasted mine so that you don't have to. But credit where it's due, it's a really good tool. That's pretty much it. I think I covered everything. Wow, long video. Okay. Where's my card at? There it is. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex and on TikTok at _metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.